Next, we'll hear from a representative from the National Council on Disability, an organization that has played a pivotal role in shaping and advancing disability policy for decades. The next speaker is Shawn Kennemer, currently serving as the acting board chair of the National Council on Disability. He has a background in executive leadership and developing services and supports for people with disabilities. He holds a Bachelor's of Arts in Organizational Leadership from Fresno Pacific University. He's currently the president and CEO of Bakersfield ARC, that is leading change by becoming the first organization in Kern County that provides jobs and supports for people to become fully community-based. He has worked and led local nonprofit collaboration of executive directors to make all bus stops in the city of Bakersfield no parking zones. Over his 30 years of providing services to people with disabilities, Shawn held positions at the executive level as well as provided direct service support. He's created over 15 new programs. Shawn has been an advocate at the local, state, and national levels. He currently serves on the board of the Independent Living Center of Kern County and is a member of the Rotary Club of Bakersfield Downtown. Let's welcome Shawn Kennemer.
I want to thank you for allowing me to be here to speak on behalf of the National Council on Disabilities, a federal agency within the United States government. Those are some very powerful stories that we've heard so far this morning. It just makes everything that we do to advance people with disabilities just that much greater. It gives us that much more motivation. So the National Council on Disabilities is an independent federal agency that is deeply entwined with the ADA. The National Council on Disabilities report in 1986, titled Towards Independency, recommended that Congress pass a comprehensive equal opportunity law and suggested that the title be the American with Disabilities Act. NCD drafted the first version of the ADA after its passage, and after its passage, NCD was tasked with Congress with new duties. These were to examine how well the government and private industries promote the goals of the ADA and to advise the President and Congress and fellow federal agencies on our findings. For 35 years, NCD has been the federal advisory on disability policy. During the past 3.5 decades, NCD's findings and recommendations have highlighted what is working well and areas where improvement is still needed. We have seen a lot of good results, although there are still many societal barriers that hold people with disabilities back from full equality. Being here to speak with you today at the Health and Human Services is a special honor because NCD has put a large focus on non-discriminatory health care for people with disabilities over the last 6 years. That focus led to the development of strong relationships and ties with talented people at the Health and Human Services who took our findings and recommendations on health care seriously. During President Trump's first administration, the National Council on Disabilities issued 5 reports on medical ethics on disability. We described how many people with disabilities were denied the opportunity to even be evaluated for organ transplants in many states. We also described how physicians use their own prejudices about the quality of life with people with disabilities and contributed to, that made decisions to stop care when care would not have been stopped for a person without a disability. We also included how inaccessible exam tables and weight scales in doctors' offices and health facilities resulted in people who use wheelchairs not getting proper examinations and not being weighed. Both the Health and Human Services Office for Civil Rights and the Administration for Community Living paid attention to these reports and invited the National Council on Disability to HHS to discuss the persistent discrimination that people with disabilities were experiencing in healthcare. They understood the issues were real and sought ways to address the discriminatory practice. The relationship between the National Council on Disabilities and Health and Human Services has continued over the years. In 2022, after advisement on poor health outcomes and barriers to health care experienced by people with disabilities, Health and Human Services officially recognized people with disabilities as a health disparity population. This designation opened the door for more research with the goal of improving health care and health outcomes for people with disabilities. The issues around health care and disabilities are too many to discuss in a few minutes, but the ADA's mandate of equal opportunity and inclusion in all aspects of society, free from discrimination, are the foundation for this work, and we were thrilled and honored to work in that space every single day. We have heard a lot today about the Olmstead decision and the ADA's integration mandate. Hearing what it is like not to be able to live at home or in the community, or what it feels like when you finally have the supports in place to enable that to happen. How that can change a life for the better. Whether young or old, people with disabilities who want to live in the community should have the opportunity. And as we celebrate our victories today, it's important to recognize that our work on community living is not yet done. We continue to face national shortages on personal care attendants and healthcare workers. These individuals play a crucial role in community living, and we must find ways to attract and keep people in this profession to help support Olmstead state efforts. NCD is celebrating the 35th anniversary of the ADA by releasing a report on the current state of ground transportation for people with disabilities. 35 years after the ADA, we find that people with disabilities, particularly wheelchair users, do not have access to wheelchair accessible transportation in most of the nation. While their non-disabled peers can hail a cab or a ride share or catch a ride in a manner in minutes, many people with disabilities simply do not have the option if they need a ramp-equipped vehicle. They frequently have few to no options to get around when they want or need to. To fulfill the promise of the ADA, people with disabilities needs to be able to access transportation on par with the rest of society. That means transportation that allows them to live in the community, attend school, work, visit friends and family, or simply visit a park to get away. Things so many of us take for granted. We hope that the release of this report and NCD's recommendations to the government and private industries will increase accessibility transportation in every community so that more people with disabilities can experience the opportunity that transportation allows. Thank you again for making NCD a part of this wonderful celebration. I look forward to continuing our work to make the promise of the AD a reality and continuing our relationships as friends and advisors to HHS. I also just, one last thing, I want to thank the staff of the National Council on Disability for all their hard work that they do every day that allow people, council members like me, to be able to come and do this. So thank you.